All right, so thank you for tuning in to Jump of the Bit. I'm Kyle Litters, of course, and you know what we do. You know, week 3 finished up Monday night. This is the first opportunity that I get to review my picks, and as you know, when I go through that, I give you a quick little info on the game, kind of what happened, and basically give you the biggest factor as to why my pick either was right or wrong. You all know I pick against the spread. So coming into this past week, I was 17-15 against the spread, and I was 7-2 when picking underdogs. So then, for those of you who are new, may have forgot, don't fully understand picking against the spread, I'm not just picking the winner of the game. I'm picking based off of the sports line of the game where they assign a minus or a plus to the favorite and the underdog. So I'm picking that way. So if I pick an underdog, it's not necessarily to win, but to cover by a certain number, which means that they won't lose by more than that number that's assigned to them. And if I'm picking the favorite, then I'm picking them to win by at least the number that's assigned to them. And it's always the same number, just plus or minus. Plus for the underdog, minus for the favorite. So there you are. Yeah. And let me see what else. Oh, yeah. So the goal, which has been since last year when I started this, but I do want to go 60%. And that's still the goal. So that's where I'm at with all this. And, yeah, so we'll go ahead, get into that, and then the end of the episode, I will kick off week 4 with Thursday Night Football. I'll pick that game. That'll be the first pick of week 4, and then the rest of the picks will wait until later in the week, definitely before kickoff Sunday. So I'll probably record it either Friday or Saturday, and you'll have it available to you either Saturday early or late Saturday. So yeah, same thing we do every week. So you get the drill if you've listened to this before. But so let's go ahead, get started with this all. So started with the Panthers and Texans. I guess I should get the records from now on, but the Panthers were 2-0 going to the game. Texans 1-1, and the line was 8. I took the Panthers -8, and they ended up pulling out the win, 24-9. And before I go any further, I got to play the sound. So this is the pick segment, and if it's a correct pick, you'll hear this. And then if I get it wrong, you'll hear this. Should have said that before, but yeah. So I took the Panthers -8. They won 24-9, so that's a win. 1-0, start the week. Biggest thing was, I thought if the Texans had a chance, they'd have to be able to run the ball, control the clock, limit Carolina's possessions, because the Texans aren't a good team yet. So their chance to really upset anybody would be to limit their opportunities on offense. They couldn't do it on this one. And then for Carolina, another solid performance from Sam Darnold. Big issue is Christian McCaffrey went out with an injury, but he has been injured. He was injured last year, so it's up to Chuba Hubbard, who's the backup. He's going to fill in. So let's see what the offense looks like now with Hubbard being the number 1 guy, and can he take pressure off of Darnold to help Darnold continue his good start to the season. Next game was the 1-1 Washington football team going up against the 1-1 Buffalo Bills. The line on this was 7. I took the Bills -7 points. And Buffalo ended up winning the game 43-21. So that's another win. Biggest thing here was Washington's defense, once again, underperforming. They came into this year with a lot of people thinking they're going to be a top flight defense. Hasn't happened yet. Doesn't mean it won't. I think what's going on is their front four is good, but the back end isn't playing up to par. And that's why you're seeing early on in the season these teams putting up big points on them. So I think it's something that they can fix as the year goes on, but they kind of want to get it going soon because, with Dallas in that division, and we don't know. Of course, Dallas is kind of unpredictable, but if it's a good year for Dallas, then maybe the division starts getting away from Washington here quickly. So they need to tighten up on defense. And then for Buffalo, second week in a row where the offense put up points, and they're looking more like the team from last year that coming into this year, people were, looking to crown as a possible AFC title contender and possibly an AFC representative in the Super Bowl. So, that's basically the name of that game. Let's go to the next game. Bears and the Browns. The line on this was 7.5. I took the Bears as the underdog plus 7.5. Cleveland won the game 26-6. So that's a 20-point win for Cleveland, which means Chicago did not cover. Biggest thing in this one was Justin Fields got his first start, and he looked every bit as a rookie would, I guess, in his first start. Fields only went, 6 for 20, threw for like 80 yards. I mean, the NFL, that's just not going to cut it. I mean, 6 points kind of lets you know what Chicago's offense looked like all day. For Cleveland, biggest thing I'd say is probably the defense, because Myles Garrett in this game was pretty much on Justin Fields a lot of the game. And we know what the offense is. And I mean, Odell Beckham finally came back this week. So it's going to probably take him a couple weeks to really get going. But it was encouraging to see this defense hold a quarterback like Justin Fields, who, can make plays with both his arm and his legs, but kept it all in check. That's going to be good going forward, especially in that division where you're dealing with a Lamar Jackson who likes to run and throw. And even with a guy like Joe Burrow, who isn't that big of a runner, but when stuff breaks down, he can, scoot and get a first down here or there. But Burrow is a, more known arm talent than Lamar Jackson. So it's going to be key for Cleveland's defense to be able to put pressure on those quarterbacks. You have Big Ben in Pittsburgh, but I've said before about Big Ben, I think he's washed, so I'm not really too much focused on him, but he is there, and you do have to say something about that. So with Big Ben, he's more of a statue in the backfield. So Cleveland being able to get pressure on Big Ben with just the front four or an occasional blitz and getting to Big Ben quickly can disrupt that team offensively. So encouraging signs for the Cleveland defense. And, they're 2-1 now. Let's see if they can string together a couple more wins and maybe push themselves further to the top of not only the AFC North, but the AFC, just the conference standings. Next game we have Baltimore Ravens, Detroit Lions. The line in this one was also 7.5. I went ahead and took Baltimore minus the 7.5 in this game. And Baltimore did win, but they won 19-17, which is only a 2-point win, which means another loss. This game, this might have been the biggest shocker of the day. Like I said, I took the 7.5 points for Baltimore because I thought it was going to be I thought it was going to be one of those games where Lamar Jackson could put up big numbers. The offense would put up big numbers. And, Detroit, as bad as they are, they don't really quit. So I'm not really surprised they lost a close one like this. It's just that I thought Baltimore was going to use this game to really try to show that they could get the offense flowing. But, ultimately it took a 66-yard field goal from Justin Tucker to win this game. And on that play, the kick, Tucker put all he could into it, and it hit the crossbar, went up, and then threw to the back of the net, hitting the net behind the goalpost for the win at the buzzer. And, it's the NFL, and getting a win, definitely the big thing, because winning in the NFL is tough. Just that I expected more out of Baltimore here. Like I said, you get out of there with a win. You may not have played your best, but you still escape with a win. It's a win for the day. And then for Detroit, they fall to 0-3. I guess they could take from this that, it took a 66-yard field goal from Justin Tucker, who's a top kicker in the league, for a team that's seen as a top team in the AFC to beat them in Detroit. Maybe this is the kind of performance that leads to a first win on the year in the next coming weeks. But ultimately, it's not a season with Detroit that we're expecting big things. So, 0-3 is not unexpected. But, I will say they did play well. It was the last Monday against Green Bay, and then they played well enough to win here against Baltimore. So, maybe they'll be able to upset a few teams along the year to get a couple of wins. Next game, we have the Colts, Titans. Line on this one was 5.5. I went with the Titans minus 5.5, so I took the favorite in this matchup. The Titans ended up winning 25-16. So it's a win. And let's see what was key here. So for the Colts, they dropped to 0-3, which, I know that division, nobody's really running away with it. The Titans are on top of the division at 2-1. But the Colts are a team that a lot of people were drinking the Kool-Aid on, thinking that they were going to be a playoff team that could make some noise. But starting off 0-3, I believe historically, falling to 0-2 makes your playoff odds long enough. Falling to 0-3, I believe at this point it's almost like no chance of making the playoffs, which sounds crazy considering there's 17 games. But usually when you're in the 0-3 hole, there's something about your team that's just not working. And usually to try to fix that midstream could possibly take a few more weeks, and then you're just falling further behind the 8-ball. So with the Colts, the issue is it's quarterback play. Wentz played this game, but he's 2 bad ankles. So I'm sure it's probably affecting throwing motion, balance in his throws and all that. But he is really the best option they have for quarterbacks. So they're going to kind of have to live with it and hope that they can keep him upright while he continues to try to get healthy, and then see where it goes from there. Tennessee, Tannehill threw 3 touchdowns, so not like it was a game where Derrick Henry scored 3 touchdowns for them. Tannehill took more of the show, and he delivered. They got a good division win, moved to the top of the AFC South, and now with the Colts being what most people thought was going to be their stiffest competition in that division, to be 2 games ahead of them right now, that's good. And then getting the first win in the matchup, will play into the second matchup where they could possibly sweep it. Then you have the tiebreakers and all that. So, good win for Tennessee. Next game, we have the Chargers and the Chiefs. Line on this game was 7. I took the Chiefs -7, although I was really hesitant in picking that one because I know that the Chargers are a team that can kind of hang with Kansas City offensively, but I ultimately went with Kansas City -7, and the Chargers ended up winning this game 30-24, so that's a loss. Now, this matchup, interestingly enough, the Chiefs are now 1-2, which may be the biggest surprise of the football season. I mean, Indianapolis is 0-3, but Carson Wentz has had injury issues, so it's not too surprising there. But Chiefs starting off 1-2. I mean, they're a team that's supposed to be contending to possibly get back to the Super Bowl this year. Something just seems a little off with the team. Offensively, they're still pretty good offensively. I do think this year they've been a little more careless with the football in terms of turnovers. Defensively, they're really struggling against competent quarterbacks and I guess multifaceted offenses. But but in this game, I mean, you give up 30 and they were held scoreless in the first quarter, which I don't know how often that happens with Kansas City. So, a big win for the Chargers. They find themselves 2-1. Chiefs, like I said, are 1-2. And I'm not going to write the Chiefs off in the division yet, only because we know what the Chiefs can be once they get clicking. And they're just too good, I guess. They're too good offensively to not start pulling some of these games out, even when the defense isn't good. But I think with this team, the defense just has to be kind of middle of the road average, and they should be fine. For the Chargers, great game by Herbert, who, I mean, I got to say, I really like the trajectory of Justin Herbert's career. He looks like a guy who, I mean, if the Chargers continue to develop the pieces around them, they are a team that could hang around here for a few years, really push Kansas City in this division, and who knows, maybe a couple of years from now, take a stranglehold on that division and become a perennial AFC threat. And I think Herbert is talented enough to possibly lead this team to a Super Bowl appearance maybe a couple of years down the line. Let's see. All right, next game, Saints, my Patriots. I took the Patriots -3 here, and Saints ended up winning the game 28-13, so it's a loss. Key factors in this game: Patriots turnovers. They had some really unfortunate turnovers in this game. One led to a Malcolm Jenkins pick 6. Then there was the play. It wasn't a turnover, but it should have been a turnover, so could call it an error. Saints down in the red zone. I believe it was Kyle Duggar came in on a blitz, hit Jameis Winston. Winston kind of just floated a pass to the back of the end zone. The defender was there, went up for the ball, couldn't get it. Saints got a touchdown out of it. So that's 2 key plays right there. If you take those away, who knows where this game is. But yeah, I mean, Mac Jones looks the part. It's just that they're not collectively gelling. Talking about the Patriots here, so maybe they can get it together and start rattling off some wins here. It's gonna be tough this upcoming week. You don't want to fall to 1-3, but I mean, we'll get to that when I do week 4 episode later in the week. But for the Saints, like I said, they put points up in each quarter. Winston was a little shaky at moments, but the offense played well enough. And like I said, the Malcolm Jenkins pick six, big play in this game. The Saints defense, I'll say, is probably the key for New Orleans. They did wreak havoc. Like I said, they got 3 interceptions on Mac Jones. A couple of them weren't his fault. So, yeah, Saints are now 2-1, and good win for them. Next game, we've got Falcons Giants. I took the Falcons here as the underdog, 2.5, so plus 2.5. They ended up pulling out the win. The Falcons did 17-14, so that's a win for me. It was Eli Manning jersey retirement day for the Giants, so a lot of emotions going on there. I can talk about that in another podcast, the whole fascination with Eli Manning and all that stuff, but yeah. Game between two teams looking for their first win of the season. Wasn't the prettiest game. Wasn't the most, technical game or anything like that, but somebody had to win, which, I mean, if the game went to a tie, that would have been hilarious, but somebody had to win. And ultimately, it ended with a Younghoe Koo field goal at the end of the game to give the Falcons a 3-point win. So now the Falcons get their first win at 1-2. Gonna look to, go back to back, get a second win, even their record next week. Giants 0-3, still searching for answers. I mean, they only got 14 points, and they had only 6 points through the first 3 quarters. I mean, the Falcons only had 7 through the first 3, so, I mean, that lets you know what kind of game it was. But, I mean, there's talent on the Giants team. I believe a couple of their wide receivers got banged up in this game, which probably played into the fact that they only got 14 points. But, yeah, I think already you can kind of say it's going to be a long year for the Giants. And the Giants are one of those teams, I think, when I did the season preview, that I was keeping an eye on because I just didn't know where they fit in the NFC East. Because I thought they had talent enough to probably contend for the division title. But something about this group or the coaching staff, something, I feel like they're losing too many games that they should be winning. And ultimately, this may be a year where there's some changes in New York. But yeah, 0-3, that's just not going to cut it. So, but hey, they get another shot next week to try to get their first win on the year. Next game we have Bengals Steelers. I took the Steelers minus the 3. Once again, not really sure why. Because I keep saying, I'm not in on the whole Big Ben thing. But for some reason, I took them in this game. So, hey, it is what it is. Bengals ended up winning this game 24-10. So that's a loss. Key here. Start with the Steelers. We heard about Big Ben having a pectoral injury coming into this game. But even without that, this offense, it's clearly the worst offense in that division. That's a given. It's one of the worst in the AFC for sure. Maybe even the league. I've said it before and I'm going to keep saying it. Big Ben is washed. For some reason, Pittsburgh fails to realize that and acts like they're afraid to get some competition in there or to kind of move on from him. Best case scenario for Pittsburgh is this is Big Ben's last year and the decision's taken out of their hands. He just walks away. But I don't know how much more of this Steelers fans can take. I mean, I'm not a Steelers fan, but when I watch them, I'm just looking at Big Ben like, I think Pittsburgh sees the same guy who won that Super Bowl like 10 years ago. But he's far from that. Early in his career, he can make plays with his legs. He's slow as ever now. He had a big arm and all this kind of stuff, and it's just not there. It is rough watching him play. But for the Bengals, why I should have went with them. I've said it for like the past couple of weeks. I like watching this Bengals team on offense because I like the whole Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase connection from their LSU days. But then you throw in T. Higgins, although Higgins got hurt. And then Tyler Boyd. They have Joe Mixon in the backfield. So they can beat you ground and in the air. But for some reason I thought maybe Pittsburgh gets this one. But, maybe the second matchup, Cincinnati wins that one. But yeah, Bengals are a team I'm keeping my eye on. They're 2-1, so they're above the Steelers. And we'll have to see where the rest of their season goes. They are a fun team to watch. And that's saying a lot because it's been kind of rough in Cincinnati for a while. Next game. Arizona Cardinals, Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's see, the line was 7.5. I took the Cardinals as a 7.5 point favorite. Cardinals won 31-19. That's a win. Let's see. What can I say about this matchup? Jaguars are struggling. Been struggling. But they're a young team. Not a lot of expectations. And they're living up to it. They're 0-3. They're expected to have a high draft pick next year. They're headed down that road. The key for this year is getting Trevor Lawrence experience. Helping him to gain, to build bonds with his offensive weapons. They're missing Travis Etienne, the young running back they drafted out of Clemson, who was Trevor Lawrence's teammate. Would have been good to see the two of them play a year together, but they'll have to wait till next year. So yeah, get Trevor Lawrence to get all the mistakes out of his system. Get all of the basically get more accustomed to the game speed, all the kind of stuff what the defenses are doing to him, and getting him more comfortable reading what he sees and changing plays, all that kind of stuff. So it's all about experience and growth for Trevor Lawrence this year. So record doesn't matter. Arizona, a little different. They're a team that's based off of last year. People are looking to them to make that next step to the playoffs. They're 3-0. Kyler Murray looks good. The offense is putting up points. The defense with J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones up front, putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. The Cardinals are a team I think will be there all year. And for a team like that, games like this, you're supposed to win. They got the win. So mission accomplished there. Next game, Jets, Broncos. I mean, this one. I took the Jets plus 10.5. I know what you're thinking. The Jets look terrible. Why would I have picked them to cover that? My thought was, Denver's now like an explosive offense, so I thought it'd be lower scoring. And then I thought it would be something where, they have like a 16, 17 point lead late. Jets get like a garbage touchdown. They get a backdoor cover. That was my thinking because I was thinking like this is one of those matchups where the Jets would do that. So I tried to guess, and I guessed wrong. But key here, Jets still stink. Zach Wilson, it's going to be a struggle. I mean, I think people were kind of jumping on Zach Wilson bandwagon a little too soon because they saw the arm talent, the ability to improvise at BYU. Thought he'd be able to bring some of those elements into the NFL. Just hasn't worked yet. So, but once again, same thing with Trevor Lawrence. For Zach Wilson, it's all about gaining experience and hopefully not making the same mistakes twice throughout the year and being more careful with the ball. That's the key for Zach Wilson for this season. For Denver, they moved to 3-0. They are the division leaders at this point, or they're tied with the Raiders, I think, at this point. But Teddy Bridgewater and that kind of ball controlled style offense, and then a defense that may be missing some pieces but has talent enough to keep the offense in games and give them a chance to win. So as long as they keep Teddy Bridgewater upright and keep the receivers and backs healthy, I think Denver's a team that's going to make it tough on some teams. They're going to play tough. They're going to stick and linger in games that maybe they shouldn't. And as we've seen through the first 3 weeks, they are talented enough and veteran enough at key positions to play well enough to beat bad teams, and that's what they did with the Jets. So 3-0 Broncos. Let's see if they can continue this run throughout the year. And we'll see where that takes them. Right now, they're looking like a team that should be a playoff team, but it's still early, so we'll see. We'll reevaluate them a couple of weeks down the line. Next game, Dolphins Raiders. Let's see. Took the Raiders on this one, minus the 3.5 as the favorite. They won 31-28, but it's only a 3-point win, so that's a loss. It's one of those games where the half, with it being 3.5, came back to bite me in the end. It was looking like they were going to cover late in the fourth, but it was on a fourth down play, I believe, where Brissett dropped back to pass. Nobody got open, scrambled around a little bit, and then made a run for the end zone, dove in to tie it. And I knew at that point, once it went into overtime, unless Raiders get the ball, go down and score a touchdown, pretty bleak I was going to end up covering. So both teams got field goals on their possession in overtime. Raiders got a second field goal to win it. I think after the defense, did they pick off Brissett? Well, the defense stopped him, then the offense went down to field goal. 3-point win. Key here, Dolphins played well enough to win. They're 1-2. So, their season's not completely lost. Interesting to see when Tua comes back, whenever that is. I'm assuming they're going to go straight back to him, but is it something where Brissett can lead this team to a couple of wins? Is that a conversation we can have, whether they should just automatically go back to Tua when he's healthy, or should they ride it out with Brissett for a little bit? See how many games they could steal with him before maybe he falls off a little bit and you have to go back to Tua. I don't know. That's something to watch with Coach Flores down there, what his decision will be. For the Raiders, they go to 3-0, continue their hot start. Starting to hear some talk about Derek Carr. David Carr's his brother, but Derek Carr being a possible MVP candidate after the quick start they've had. Offensively, we saw the potential of this offense with Carr being able to hit, Darren Waller over the middle, or to the sideline, kind of the intermediate range. We saw a big play with Henry Ruggs taking the top off the defense, getting behind the last line of defense. Carr being able to put it up there and, let Ruggs run underneath it, make a play. So they got that dynamic. And then you have Kenyon Drake in the backfield for this one. But when Josh Jacobs is healthy, it's a pretty good two-headed monster in the backfield. So we'll have to see. Is this a team that maybe for John Gruden's second time back with the Raiders, maybe this is the one that gets him a playoff shot and maybe a win in a postseason with this team? At least offensively, I think they can make it happen. Then defensively, you don't need them to be great. You just need them to be probably league average, and they'll be fine. Next game we have the Bucks-Rams. I took the Rams plus 1.5, so another underdog there. And Rams ended up winning 34-24, so that's a win. In this matchup, this was the matchup of the week. Stafford versus Brady. McVay versus Arians. I guess top team AFC South versus, I guess early on, probably the top team the NFC West. So a lot of hype coming into this game. Both teams were 2-0, and ultimately the Rams made more plays to get the win. Brady was a little off at times on a few throws in this game. But yeah, they just didn't have enough on this Sunday to keep up with the Rams. But I mean, I think you can agree with me that this is a matchup would not be surprised to see in the playoffs. Wouldn't be surprised to see it as an NFC title game, but it's getting too far ahead of everything. We'll see if both teams can keep this up, win their division, and then possibly make it NFC title game rematch, which I'd be all for. What else to say? Stafford threw 4 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp had a good game. For all of you fantasy owners out there, Cooper Kupp, I'm sure, got you a lot of points. I had him on a team of mine, and he clearly has become Stafford's go-to receiver. Bucks, we know coming this week. Brady returns to Foxborough, play the Patriots. Gillette, to play the Patriots. Won't get into that now. We'll save that for later in the week, but yeah, two teams that, somebody was going to lose this game, but ultimately doesn't really change how I view them. They should both be there come NFC title. Next game, Seahawks and the Vikings. I took the Seahawks -2 on this one. Vikings ended up winning 30-17, so that's a loss. What was the key in this one? I think what it was, maybe was this the second straight road game for Seattle where they had to come a little east? No, because last week they played the Titans. That was in Seattle, so scrap what I just said. But yeah, so for Seattle, missed opportunities. Did not look as sharp as they had the first 2 games of the year. A game they should have won because Minnesota was winless coming into this matchup, and Minnesota is just kind of a meh team at this point. But definitely a big win for them. Not going to take that away from them. Getting the first win of the year, it's always big. Maybe they I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. They have Dalvin Cook, good player. Kirk Cousins, steady. Adam Thielen, top tier wide receiver. So we'll see. Can they stick in the NFC North race all year? I don't know. I mean, behind Green Bay, there is some debate who the second best team is in that division. Only because Lions aren't good. The Vikings are probably average. And what was it? Green Bay, Detroit. Oh, Chicago. Chicago's probably middle of the road. So one of those three teams have to step up to challenge Green Bay or at least keep them honest all year. Maybe it's the Vikings. We'll have to see. Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been a terrible start for Minnesota. They have 2 losses, yeah, but they didn't get like blown out or anything. They were close. So maybe just getting that first win, they can build on this momentum, get a couple more wins. But we'll see. We'll see what's going on there. Next game was a Sunday night game. Packers 49ers. I took the Packers +3. They ended up winning 30-28. So that's a win. Another great matchup, I will say. This week got some good ones. This game came down to the very end. We saw Jimmy Garoppolo drive the 49ers down the field, get a late touchdown, throwing like 35 seconds left. So San Francisco celebrating because they thought they'd got it won. And what happened was, kickoff, Green Bay takes it. Then a couple of plays downfield, the Packers were in field goal range. Aaron Rodgers had a couple of good throws on that drive. And, I mean, we already heard it from the announcers and all that. Saw it all over Twitter. When San Francisco scored, questions were already being asked. Did they leave too much time on the clock for a guy like Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, who had a great game? Was it too much time for them? Because with Devontae Adams, all it takes is one pass play, and you're right on the edge of field goal range. And that happened here. And Mason Crosby, top tier kicker in the league, came on, kicked the game winner. As the clock ticked to 0, so definitely a good win for them. Packers go to 2-1. Would have been. I mean, we've already heard last week Aaron Rodgers telling people to relax. I mean, if they went to 1-2, we'd have to see what would have gone on. Probably a few more questions going his way about what's going on. San Francisco falls to 2-1. So first loss of the year. Not going to sweat it too much. But, yeah, 2 teams, 2-1. They're probably not top tier in the NFC, but they could be slotted into that second group. When I'm talking top tier, I'm talking about Rams, Bucks. Guess maybe put Cardinals in there. And then second tier, you're looking at these 2 teams, Niners, Packers, Cowboys, maybe the Panthers, teams like that. So, like I said, not going to sweat it. First loss for the Niners. Packers still only have 1 loss. Interesting to see with Garoppolo how much of a leash he gets in some of these games. Will we continue to see some games Trey Lance plays a little bit, other games he doesn't play at all? Will there come a time where Trey Lance gets maybe a bigger role in the offense? Or do they just stick with Garoppolo most of the year, sprinkle in Lance here and there, depending on the situation, game, all that kind of stuff? And like I said, Green Bay, it was a great finish for them. I mean, 35 seconds, Aaron Rodgers got in the field goal range. Definitely greatness there. Sure, because of this win, a lot of I believe I heard his name as well, MVP talk. I mean, I don't really like talking about that after 3 weeks. Very long season. So we'll have to see how that goes later on in the year. Then final games, the Monday night game. Cowboys-Eagles. I think the Cowboys 3.5-point favorite. Cowboys won 41-21. Win. Key here. Jalen Hurts struggled offensively for Philly. Had some bad throws. I believe he threw a pick six as well. Offense was definitely out of sync this week. He made some plays with his legs, but I guess being down Jerry World in Dallas, the atmosphere there might have been a little too much for this young Eagles team. We'll have to see maybe the second matchup how it goes when they're in Philly and Dallas goes up there. But once again, another young quarterback. They have new pieces there with Devontae Smith and all that. So early on, they can get a couple of wins here. Maybe this is a team that looks better more around like week 8 going forward than they do right now. And then for the Cowboys, another good game from Prescott. I believe it was his first game back in Dallas since the injury last year, which happened to him in Dallas. Offense shows that some games this year they may be able to put up 40 points here and there. Key for them will be defensively. What kind of effort do they give? And when they go up against teams with more weapons offensively than like the Eagles, how will they hold up and play that? So, but yeah, Cowboys are now 2-1. Eagles are 1-2. Cowboys are on top of that division. So, for the Cowboy fans and analysts out there, can build up a little hype right now for the Cowboys, because the rest of the division looks like it's middle of the road at best, and possibly for a team maybe one of the worst in that division there. So maybe it's one that the Cowboys run away with. We'll have to see what it looks like next coming weeks. But yeah, that's the last game of the week there. So now looking back, I went to 8-8 again. I went 8-8 week 1. What I go 9-7 week 2. So now 8-8 week 3, which means on the year I am 25-23. And then this week, picking underdogs, I went 1, 2. I went 3-2 picking underdogs. So I'm actually 10-4 picking underdogs so far throughout the year. So not bad. Not bad at all. Oh yeah, so last pick, of course. Start week 4. Have the Jaguars and the Bengals. Looks like the line right now is Cincinnati minus 7.5. I'm going to go Cincinnati in this matchup. As I just said, love Cincinnati's offense. So I expect Burrow and Chase to find that connection again. Possibly get a touchdown out of it with Chase. And then short week, Jacksonville still 0-3, looking for answers. I don't like them in this matchup, so I'll take the Bengals minus the 7.5. And there you are. That's the first pick for week 4. The rest of the games I will do, like I said, probably like Friday, Saturday episode. But yeah. That was the NFL pick segment. So yeah, so then looking forward to the rest of the week. I believe the next episode will be on the MLB playoff push. Look at the wild card races or any division races that are still in question here, as they're down to like the last 4 or 5 games in the season. I think it's a perfect time to look at that, and then maybe look forward to the set you up for what the playoffs may look like. Also want to talk, like I said, the rest of the week 4 picks that's coming this week. Definitely have to talk a little bit about Brady's return to New England, the whole Brady Belichick and that story. Talk about that. Oh, what else? Probably next week, of course, between the NFL stuff, we'll talk NBA with the whole Ben Simmons with NBA training camps opening up. And some other NBA stuff we'll talk about. Maybe some college football. What else? NHL, because their season gets underway mid-October. Talk about some changes to their broadcast this year, which I think is going to be a good thing for them. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, definitely a lot coming. End of this week into next week. So definitely stay tuned for all of that. But if you like this episode, of course, go ahead, hit like or subscribe wherever you are listening to the show, or follow. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Chompin' Podcast. You can go there, interact with me, let me know topics you want to talk about or anything that I talk about. You can give me your opinion there. Definitely do that over there. Have a YouTube channel if you want to listen to these there as well. You can subscribe to the channel over there. It's my channel, so just search Kyle Edwards. You'll see all the episodes there. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in. If you're new, hopefully you liked it. Stick around for some more episodes coming down the line, as well as you can go check out some of the past episodes. For those of you returning, appreciate you as well. I mean, you know what to do. So, but yeah, so be safe out there. God bless. And catch you next episode. Like I said, talk MLB playoffs. So I'm out. Have a good one.